Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the wonderful world of plants Roundup of plants we love but don't know why for February 2026. This month's theme is plants that live where the land meets the ocean. I personally love the ocean, it's my favorite place to be, so I felt this was a good area to start exploring in this wonderful world of plants. Especially since most of these plants provide more than just an aesthetic value. They build dunes and stabilize them, support coastal ecosystems, and protect the shoreline. You may have noticed three of the four plants this month have a beach element in their name, kind of a hint at what the theme was. With all that said, let's do a quick recap of each plant and calculate the average RAD rating for this month to see where this coastal group stacks up against other plants. Up first is sea oats, since they grow closest to that water's edge. The fact that they can be submerged completely under salt water and still come out is just absolutely stellar. Many plants can't even handle a slight salty breeze, let alone being totally submerged. So that really separates sea oats from the rest of plants. Also, the fact that they can climb out of dunes when they're buried by developing that vertical rhizome is just amazing. They're really the first line of defense for beaches and dunes around the country and essentially the world. So, super crucial plant. And so crucial, in fact, that many state governments have put legislation into place to protect sea oats. And on a lot of beaches, which I love to see, is active restoration sites to regrow sea oat colonies. Pretty cool. But don't take them for granted, and be sure to thank a sea oat next time you're at the beach, even if people look at you funny. Next up is beach sunflower, that familiar flower grown in an unfamiliar way. Learning that the flower is really a collection of many smaller flowers called florets just blew my mind, if I'm being honest. I never would have thought sunflowers are actually inflorescence instead of just one large flower. And beach sunflowers really separate themselves from other plants this month in the fact that they always seem to have flowers in bloom. This leads to tons of pollinators living on the coast, relying heavily on the beach sunflower as a food source. If you've ever heard that saying, that plant is buzzing, it could absolutely be used to describe the beach sunflower. I personally love the beach sunflower. Just this past week, I took a trip to the West Coast here in Florida, and everywhere you look, you could see those yellow rays, those little beach sunflowers. They're super eye catching and just great to look at. Once the weather starts to cooperate, gets a little warmer, I'm going to be planting some myself to really capitalize on that beauty and also that pollinator support they have. Next up is sea grapes. Sea grapes are personally one of my top five favorite plants, if not number one. If you ever get the chance on a beach day to set up under one and can do so without disturbing the leaves or the branches or the roots, I highly recommend you do because it's going to make your beach day that much better. But be sure to be respectful of those branch and roots while you're around them in general. Everything on this plant is just absolutely beautiful. From those circular leaves with that reddish pinkish vein running in them to that uniquely patterned bark, breathtaking. And don't even get me started on those fruits or grapes, whatever you want to call them. I'm personally dying to get my hands on some jelly made from them just to see what it tastes like. The combination of those great leaves, bark patterns, roots that help hold the beaches together, flowers that support pollinators, and fruit that supports the wildlife makes the sea grape a special plant. Last but certainly not least is the Geiger tree, specifically the orange Geiger tree. The common name Geiger coming from one of the most successful wreckers in Key West history during the wrecking heyday. It's just such a cool historical fact. Can't really make up that detail. There's even an entire key in the Florida Keys that shares this name, and there's an awesome beach on that key. But be warned, the Navy will kick you out if you venture a little too far down the beach. I know this from personal experience. But the Geiger tree, with those sandpaper leaves, seemingly endless orange flowers, and unique pure white fruit, is a salt-tolerant staple of coastal areas. As I said with the sea grape being in my top five, the Geiger is right up there too. It even takes center stage in my own front yard. It's a tree I've personally loved ever since I first saw it. It's a perfect example of how beauty and resilience can exist together along the coast. Here we are at the RAD rating average. Some really high scores this month, with sea oats coming at 9.9 out of 10, beach sunflowers 9.0, Seagrape at 9.8, and Geiger Tree coming in at 9.3, leading to an average RAD rating of 9.5 for the theme of plants that live where the land meets the ocean. You can see the full write-up for all of these plants, including a breakdown of the exact RAD rating on our Substack. The link will be in the description as well as in our bio. Each month has a theme. For the first 4 weeks of the month, we'll cover a new plant for that theme. Then on the final week, we'll do a plant roundup, much like this, where we reveal the theme, give a quick overview of the plants, and average out the RAD ratings. I thank you all very much for joining me. Check us out on Instagram at Wonderful World of Plants for updates and on our Substack for the weekly writings. Thank you.